Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark. I'm sure some of you feel like you just saw me, and you did over on the main channel. We were talking about Dune, and we're going to talk about Dune some more here, but we're going to talk about it now with Mikey, the Mexican Iron Man, my producer, and the man I couldn't get anything done without, probably. Well, it's not totally true. I can go to the bathroom.
That's not at all true.
Just take the win, man.
Hey, I like the warning. I just want to say, although don't get near Jesse because I like getting bent.
Don't get near me because I'm usually smoking. Honestly,
Well, and honestly, now I know more about Mike than I want to know. But I do know this: Ruben Christopher Haynes.
Don't shame it.
I'm not shaming him. I just didn't need to know that.
I'm not into it. He is, different strokes, different.
No,
folks.
I get you.
Whoever gets the motorboat churning.
But I didn't need to know that about Mikey. Ruben Christopher Haynes, though, is now a member. I believe he's a minimum effort puppy. Is that not right?
Welcome to the cult, sir.
Yep, minimum effort puppy, my favorite. Oh, look at that! Oh,
already getting started. Awesome.
Now, how can that puppy do that at that young age? Bambino's 7 years old, and I can barely get him out of bed.
Can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Oh,
that's the saying. That's like literally the saying.
Yeah, is that true though?
I'm pretty sure, to a point. I'm sure a dog would learn anything for a treat.
I don't know. I tried something new on Sunday when I had my date, but sorry, wrong show.
Oh, Lord.
Different kind of dog.
It must have been a pretty fun date. That's like the third time you brought it up now.
Oh, it was good.
Well, welcome everybody in the chat, and welcome Jesse as well. How you doing tonight, Jesse?
Oh, I can't complain, sir. How do you do?
I don't want to hear you complain. No, I'm just kidding.
No one really gives a shit when you complain. They just get pissed off. It is true, though. I just showed my son that video of that old man beating the shit out of Trudeau in the boxing match. Every time he goes to throw a punch at the old man, he's just like, nah, swat. Nah, son. Nah, son. Punch in your face. Nah, son.
Six says, and hello, Six. If we call ourselves mistresses of mead, Tom will change it to menstruating miss. This is where we get sassy.
Does this come with outfits? We need promotional art. What? I mean, come on now.
That's a good question, and those are the hard-hitting questions we need answers to.
That's how you move cheeseburgers.
That's right. And then we also have Mr. Tickle Trunk in the house. We got Goddess of Whim. How you doing? We got It's Courtney, Fellowship of the Oddballs. We got Dragon Master 360. How you doing? 720. Why? Because I'm a cheap bastard and I only paid for the lower level. So I apologize for that.
Can you pay for a higher level of
there's like $100 a month StreamYard where you get 1080p.
Is that the
one I have?
And also joining us, we have...
Is that above the paid subscription?
Script Doctor. Yeah, you have like the $20 a month level, which is what I got. That gives you 720p and up to 10 people on stream. And then you have the $100 and some level, which is 1080p, more recording options, all this other stuff. You can have like 12 people in the studio, but still only 10 people on screen. But good afternoon, Script. How are you doing?
Aside from StreamYard's taking forever to load, I'm doing good.
Yeah, I was kind of curious. I was like, all right, well, we're just going to get rolling here.
Yeah, it was just a while there. I had to restart it twice. So,
well, we're glad you're here. We've missed you.
Well, the weird things are happening in Canada, so me and my girlfriend were taking advantage of the opportunities to socialize before that was taken away. So now that's changed.
And, I understand, but I did cry in the corner because I missed you so much.
And earlier this week, I got the theater I had purchased advance tickets to my Dune screen had to refund them to me because I refused to give them personal medical information, and the owner was actually quite fine with that.
By the way, Tom, I made a mistake. It's a maximum effort puppy.
Oh, I am so sorry. Well,
correction. I made a mistake. It's a maximum effort puppy.
That's all right. That's my fault too. I should have looked. So I'm going to make up for that. Give myself a lazy puppy for not looking. Because we love lazy puppy.
That's Bambino right there.
It is. Lazy.
That's a smart dog.
He's like, this is fucking awesome. And then here's your maximum effort.
Yeah.
Journey. There you go.
Yo, whoever owns that dog is definitely drinking a beer right now.
Thank you, Ruben, for becoming a maximum effort puppy. Thank you, Ruben.
Fuck yeah, they are. They're like, this dog's got this shit.
I wonder if they were playing Cruising at top volume.
Cruising.
Oh, we're going to call that dog Ruben because Ruben's out on his boat being a maximum effort puppy.
Oh, and also in the chat, we have Stephanie Janacek. We got, or Janacek. I got to keep remembering to say that right. We got Lindsay. I don't know if I said hello to you yet already, but hello. We got Ruben, of course. We got Darth Scipio in the house. We got Arturo Trevino. Welcome, welcome. We also have Fatal J is in the house. How you doing, Fatal J?
Hey, Fatal. I'm really looking forward to Ninja Blast coming in the mail. I've seen on Twitter they've been arriving.
Yeah, Mr. Fatal J himself decided to make an appearance. You got the Dark Council tonight, don't you? You can hop in here. I'll give you the link here. Let me just send that to you. It's been a while since we got to talk.
Yeah, why not?
Oh, Fatal.
You have to freshen things up sometimes.
Well, it's been a while. He always gives me shit because he's like, Tom never has me on, but it's like you're never available when I ask you. He works.
Like show up and come in.
And
he
then
does it on purpose.
yeah.
Yeah, working sucks. That's the problem.
Working sucks. And then we also got another new member. We have Mobile Recluse.
Yay!
That's an oxymoron now, isn't it?
No,
well, I guess it isn't if you stay in the vehicle the whole time.
That's right. If you have an RV, you're good to go.
That's right. That's a good point. And he is a minimum effort puppy. And Sadie, you were just out. So I don't know why
yeah. Look at those eyeballs.
Hey, we got Neil here too. It's been a while. How you doing, Neil? We also have Samurai Vader in the chat. Queen Elizabeth is here, guys. So be on your best behavior.
I hope she's doing well. She's in the hospital.
Oh, really? Well, hopefully you're doing well indeed. We also have Goddess of Whim. Pat S is here as well. Naked Fame. How you doing? How you doing? Welcome to the show. We appreciate y'all being here. Hit that like button. Share out the show so other people know we're live. Mecha J is here too. Thank you for being here. And Mike is even in the chat saying hello to Goddess of Whim. Or let's wait. What?
I'm trying to be a good wrench as well as a contributor to the show and as well as a producer. I'm trying to hashtag don't cancel Mexican Iron Man.
Goddess of Whim sends in $5. Thank you so much. 6, Lindsay and I are the mistresses of Mead as agreed on by the chat before the show. I'm not going to argue.
Wait, what?
I'm not going to argue at all.
That's an area where we can always have rapid expansion as well.
True. And then we get some actual brand mead, and you guys can actually,
drink while we're that while we're up here chatting.
And we'll put the ladies on the label. There you go.
That's probably not as hard of a proposition as we would think it would be.
Nah, not really. I've had people come up
beer makers
and say that they'd love to make a mead. And I said, yeah, if you can make one, yeah.
You can make one, I'll drink it. Have a taste testing on air, see who wins.
Now, this is the first time I've heard this. Marks 47 says, my local theater with IMAX 815 showing still has 0 seats reserved so far. That's weird.
Wow.
Everybody else I've talked to has had to wait till tomorrow or Saturday because they're sold out already.
Let me put you this way. I was going to hit the IMAX. That's about 4. It's only 20 miles from here, but because I'm on an island, it takes 50 minutes. Son of a bitch. Like, I was just like, no, screw it. I'm watching this thing on HBO.
Yeah, but that's weird because that's the first person I've heard say that they've had that problem or have seen that, because other people I've talked to have said,
yeah, dude, the one locally here is fucking like there's like 3 seats left.
That's what I mean. Like, everybody else is saying it's packed, or they got to wait till tomorrow or Saturday now and stuff like that.
Which is really good, especially because it's Thursday night.
Yeah, but that's weird. That's weird. But
it's also cool. Sit up really high and feel like you're falling off a cliff.
Ironhead 2008 wants to know how Bambino is doing, Mexican Iron Man. Speaking of which, has he recovered from his encounter with the pit viper?
Yeah, well, it was a copperhead, and Bambino has recovered and is now back to his regular schedule, which involves sleeping about 16 to 20 hours a day and barking randomly and picking fights with big, huge dogs when we go on dog walks that outweigh him by at least 100 pounds.
If you got copperheads bad down there, always look at the bases of trees. They like to chill there.
Yeah, I actually hired a place to come out, and they like sanitize the whole property. There was a nest actually of about.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, they found 11 of them, and they got
11.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious. I wonder if they didn't open up another theater for the movie. Could that possibly be the case?
Is this where we're getting this?
Yeah, because I've seen them do that at the last minute. What was that? Sorry.
Are you selling people copperhead meat as rabbit chicken?
Hey, quiet.
Okay.
NDA.
True. The poison makes it spicy.
No. We boil that out.
Yeah.
But it does add to the flavor. That's true.
God damn right.
Well,
Yes.
it's called suicide for a reason, right? Suicide meat.
Well, that's our one we probably got away with for tonight. We can't say anything worse than that. Naked
Like
Fink
hot
says
wings.
yeah, I know. Seeing it, well, I meant the S word,
Yeah.
but I'm seeing Dune in Atmos. I do too. I watched it in a situation. I watched it. And it was a 5.1 mix, up converted to Atmos. But my God, it still sounded fucking amazing. So I can't wait to watch this thing in the best quality possible again. I loved the movie. I adored it. I thought it was amazing. The biggest gripe I have with it is that it's not enough. It ends too soon, and I hated the score. Outside of that, I have very little to gripe about. I thought it was.
I'm sure
really
someone's
well
going to take the Lynch score and put it over this one day.
I would love to see that. And that's the problem. And that's what I was saying earlier. And Chris and Robert and Andre all kind of agreed with me when I said, like, there's a lot of people saying that this movie has no heart or soul. And I'm like, do you think that's because of the fucking score? Because I could still follow the character and I can get it. But I felt like that's what was missing, was that the score to kind of help us elevate that. And, I'm used to watching things in rough form, so I can, kind of picture in my head what the music is sounding like. So, I think you're right. Because I did the same thing also with the dialogue. I'm so used to the Lynch version that I'm doing the little dialogue pieces where they do the thought bubbles in their head in the movie where they speak out loud in their mind. I was doing that while I was watching the movie, here it comes, and all that kind of stuff, that kind of a thing.
You've seen that movie way too often if you can memorize.
I know, right? I'm telling you, it's bad. Well, I had to watch it a million times for Andre's deal. So, you have no idea in every version. So, Diego says, Jesus Christ, the premium theater by my house is packed and the standard theater only has crap seats left. Basically 80% of allowed capacity. That is good. Do you guys have HBO Max over there now, Diego? That was my other curiosity question. Because, I'm curious how this is going to play in markets that don't have HBO Max as well. Yeah, of course, Tim. I know it's only half the book, and that is what it is. I mean, the score does complement the movie to a point, but again, I kept reiterating in our review earlier, which you can go watch. So I'm not going to give you a big review of the movie right now. The score just feels too much like it's part of the sound effects.
I remember you already had
tone?
said that it sounded way too tonal to you and it didn't have enough dynamic range.
You don't know.
It didn't feel like a real score, more just
there is no real music in it. There's a couple spots where a guitar comes in and swells a little bit, and there's one other bit or two that I can think of that have.
It's not music. It's just ambient background. It's more just stuff.
but it mixes with the sound, right? I can't tell where the sound effects begin and the score ends, and vice versa. But I mean, it would be nice to have had a decent soundtrack.
Yeah, you could do that and have some tunes.
Right. Kit Kat sends in $10, says, I have my new 6-month orange badge just in time for Halloween. Yes, you do. Thank you for being a member. But about the color of the 12-month badge, YouTube says it's blue like the 2-month badge, not bright pink like the main channel. Why? I'm trying to remember. I think we got to pick them.
Really?
But we were only allowed certain colors. I can't remember. If not, I think it's just predestined and they set them up. It might be a different shade of blue as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't really know. Do you know more about that, Mike? Or
I do. It's in the settings.
Is it? Okay.
It's in. Well, here's the problem. The challenge is this: is that
Well, I remember having to upload the different badges. That's
right.
why. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think I only had so many to choose from. That was the other problem.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was about to say. Is that they've changed the system from when you probably originally did it. They now have more options and shit. So.
I'll have to go check into that, but thank you for bringing that to my attention. And Mike helps me with a lot of that stuff. So,
if you need me to do it, I can log in and do it.
I'll give it. Yeah, we'll get a few minutes one of these days, and we'll just do it. Yeah.
Bye. Thanks, Kit Kat. Love ya.
Thank you for that, and we appreciate that. And I'll try to do my best to change that. I'll have to bug Culture Casino has helped me with those. I'll have to bug him for some more colors. But yeah, I enjoyed the film. But the big question on everybody's mind is: are we going to get a Dune 2? Right? That's the big question.
Well, that should be fairly obvious. I mean, why would they put the money in this one without planning a second?
I thought that question was answered in the media.
Yes and no. People are taking it as there's going to be a Dune 2, and I think this is the right one. I'm going to read this here real quick. On the eve of AT&T's third quarter earnings report, Warner Media's top leadership invited Variety to the Warner Brothers lot in Burbank for an open-ended conversation about where the company is headed as regulators scrutinize its planned merger with Discovery Inc. That deal will see the entertainment division spun off from the telecom giant a mere 3 years after AT&T finalized its purchase of HBO, Warner Brothers, and Turner Networks for $85.4 billion. Warner Media CEO Jason Kilar and Sarnoff chair and CEO of Warner Brothers Studio and Network Groups, and Andy Forssell, executive vice president and general manager of Warner Media Direct to Consumer, were all present for the conversation. The trio stressed that despite the fact that the company is operating in the shadow of yet another disruptive merger, they are focused on positioning Warner Media, soon to be rechristened Warner Brothers Discovery, as one of the victors in the streaming wars. No topic is off limits, from bracing for the adjusting to a new leader under Discovery CEO David Zaslav. That's something we've talked about quite a bit. To the upside of company's historic decision to release all of its 2021 movies simultaneously in theaters and on HBO Max. Even future job prospects were discussed. Here are key takedowns from the roundtable discussion. The day-and-day strategy is not working, but it's about to go away. Or is working, but it's about to go away. We'll see about that.
That's like saying I'm in a happy relationship, but we just filed for divorce and we're going to be friends.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
I walked into a door.
Yeah, no, it clearly isn't, because you know what? We saw that there's at least 20, 30, 40 more $1 million left on the table with some of these movies, right? Like, just did the math with Valiant Renegade. Him and I figured that Halloween left $20 million at least on the table from dropping it on Peacock first. And that's just going by what people streamed it on Peacock. We don't know we're not even figuring the downloading, right? Like, you can't really figure
did the
that,
Peacock one have ads with the streaming part?
No.
Because if it did, they probably would recoup some money from that.
I didn't have ads, but Jesse said he did.
It's certainly taken over all the memes on all the horror.
Now, Jesse, during Halloween Kills, you said you had ads, right?
I never had Peacock before. I bought the $4.99.
Yeah, that's what I did too.
And it gave me ad.
I didn't have ads, but I watched it on Xbox. So I don't know if they're set up for that. Now, maybe if I had watched it on the computer, I don't know how you watched it, Jesse, but
when you're on
TV,
you just watched it on your regular TV and you still got ads? Because I didn't, and I bought the $4.99 package. So
yeah, because I don't know what else is ever going to be.
The only ad I got was at the very, very beginning, right before the movie. They did the whole like Peacocktober ad, which is a personal ad for themselves, and it was like 30 seconds. Other than that, I didn't get interrupted once through the entire movie, and I was expecting to.
Is there anything else coming out on that? Because the only other thing I know on that I wanted to check out was Kevin Hart's show
on Peacock. I'm trying to think. Do they really have anything big coming up?
They're really small.
Because their Jurassic Park show is actually on Netflix, so they don't have that. Their Fast and the Furious show is actually on Netflix. So
I just saw Jurassic Park has an upcoming game. I've seen no advertisement for.
I got an interesting comment question from the chat to throw at you guys. What about this one from White Knight? Check that out, Tom. What do you think about that idea?
Because they never get away with it. You'd have a bunch of people canceling. You have that option.
You
do? It is cheaper. I believe you can. Yeah, because I think I paid for a year of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but as far as additional charges, everybody hates add-ons because it's just like that's too salesman-y. It's like just give me the damn.
That's just the Halloween numbers, Tom. But if you do the math on
like
Dune
Godzilla versus Kong and all the other ones too, and Dune, what about
if you do the math on Dune? I mean, that's the math you guys did on Halloween. What about the math on Dune? How much do you think they're losing? What do you and Script think in terms of how much they're losing on this sucker? The way they did,
we don't have any numbers yet. We know that going off of what Valiant had told me, 1.2 million people or 1.2 million homes viewed Halloween within the first whatever it was 24 hours or whatever it was online. That's how they figured or whatever. So that's how we figured the number. As far as Dune, I think it's going to be a much larger number. But the problem is Dune is already leaked online. It's been online for a little while. I don't know. I mean, they could be leaving $40-50 million on the table. What do you think, Script?
It's hard to tell at this point.
Right. You can't really gauge it.
Can't gauge it.
Well,
I mean, the other part too is that again, you have to also factor in that HBO Max and Warner Brothers are going to use any new signups and this existing month's subscription to pay for whatever they lose with Dune. Like that's just it. This, and also with November as well. They can roll that into it, financially speaking.
Yeah, and just to be clear, Lindsay, they got 2 animated shows on Netflix, one for Fast and Furious and one for Jurassic Park, which is strange. They put them on there instead of saving them for Peacock because the Jurassic Park one is fairly new. Fast and the Furious one, I think, has been on there for a while. So I remember my kid telling me about that a while ago. But yeah, they're just animated shows. But still, point being, yeah, Peacock doesn't really have much of a draw. So this Halloween was a big deal for them. And I understand why Blum did it. Like, it was a win-win for all parties involved. And I know why it's dropping on HBO Max tomorrow, because that basically paid for the movie probably.
I thought you said that they had some kind of pre-existing deal that they had to or something.
No, he went right in, and I think that was with HBO Max. Right. Because it's dropping tomorrow on HBO Max, which is just weird.
What are you talking about tomorrow? It dropped today.
No. We're not talking about Dune. We're talking about Halloween Kills.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it's
no.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, sorry. I should have been more clear. Halloween Kills is dropping tomorrow on HBO Max.
Oh, well, I'll need to see that this weekend.
So I think that was a pre-existing deal that they had already had in place. And then the Peacock thing, both of them got announced at the last fucking minute. Like the Peacock deal got announced like just barely a month before this. And the HBO Max deal was buried in one of the fucking interviews with Jason Blum. And I found that right after we dropped our video. Wow. The story was a fresh hour old. I'm like, son of a bitch, Andre, look what we missed. But it doesn't really matter because it did so well last weekend that the video's whatever now. But I mean, the whole point we were making with that video is how much are they going to lose in the long run because of this? Now, I think this is the weekend they're going to suffer because more people have HBO Max, right? And once they see Halloween Kills is on there, that's going to kill any of the people that were left over from last weekend who were waiting to go see it maybe this weekend when it was closer to Halloween. At least that's my prediction. I think Halloween Kills is going to have like a 70% drop off this week, especially after Dune. It might even be more.
Well, on the theater side of things, most likely, but you have to take a look at, will HBO release the numbers for Halloween Kills on their platform? And
that's the big question.
And if that's an offset that's balanced, then that's actually a really good sign.
Again, for HBO and that's Max, what I think. Yeah, so that's the thing. Halloween Kills has been in the black for a while, basically. Then because the movie only cost. We've heard a couple different figures. I've heard anywhere between 18 and 40 million is what it cost.
Right? I'd be surprised if it broke 40 million.
Yeah. See, I heard originally 18
and cost. Yeah.
I heard originally 18, and then they were saying 40. Maybe 40 with advertising.
I'm just grateful for that, man, because I love when the horror movies do well.
Oh, yeah, it did well. It already pretty much, I mean, it didn't make its money back yet, and technically in the theaters, but it pretty much has between this and what they probably figure on the side of Peacock. Because even though Jason Blum was gracious enough, I wish Andre would have made this a little bit more clear in the video, even though I wrote the original draft and he rewrote it. I said in the original version, it does point out that Jason Blum was so gracious to give it to Peacock for a fee, right? So he still got his part out of it because Blumhouse is not connected with the unit. They're still a separate entity, but they produced it together. And the thing is,
they have a contract with them, yeah,
exactly. So he still made his money back on the movie. I guarantee you, he's made a killing on it.
Yeah, plus historically, I think horror movies, especially the slasher,
they always do.
They grow over time,
right? The IMDb Pro says the budget was 20 million flat.
That's what I mean. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised because the original film that they did 2 years ago or 3 years ago now wasn't even that expensive, and that movie made so much fucking money. And that's the thing I think people forget, and I keep reminding everybody, is how much money Halloween 2018 made. Even with inflation, it was technically the highest grossing one, and it made so much money that if you don't count the Rob Zombie movies, it made more than the entire original franchise put together.
Damn, this thing was doing 3 million. I'm looking at the box office data, U.S. Canada. Yeah. This thing was doing 3 million a day on Monday and Tuesday of this week. Wednesday.
That's pretty good.
As long as
that's crazy.
Michael Myers is a big deal. People forgot how big H2O was too, right? When that came out, that was a big fucking deal. It was because of H2O we got the bit of a resurgence there again after Scream.
And you know what? They didn't make this one wimpy. It's like he was pretty.
I mean, technically we're looking at Halloween H40, but
Yeah, that's true.
Because it is 40-year anniversary time. But on top of that, too, horror movies, Jason Blum has a great formula for his production right now. He knows how to keep things at low cost and get in a lot of money, and then use that to kind of offset any of the duds, which he hasn't had many in his career. and that's a good thing. That he's kind of like the model that a lot of producers want to base their own companies off of now, but they're stuck in those tentpole issues where everything has to be $125 million movie in order to make money.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think Blum, agree with what he is or like him or not, he is basically picking up where guys like Roger Corman, Robert Shea, and
Rodriguez.
And although, well, I was going to say Miramax Dimension, not to mention the Weinsteins, but that's what they used to do, right?
Yep.
Like, and they made a killing off this. And then that was the famous thing we kept hearing behind the scenes was of the two brothers. Harvey was the one that made the Oscar winners that made no money. And his brother was the one that made all the horror.
Was there.
And all the his brother made all the horror movies that made the money, all the company basically to make the other movies for Bob Harvey. So Bob was the one making all the money for the company.
Yeah.
So
Harvey was only there for the couch.
Oh, Harvey screwed everything. Like, that's the thing. I feel bad for Bob because Bob was really the heart of everything, and Bob is the one who got hurt the most through this whole situation.
Well, his name is trash now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, he had nothing to do with any of that shit, yet he is the one who's got to suffer now because of it, even though he was the guy behind the sci-fi and horror division over at Miramax and in the Dimension part, pushing a lot of that stuff. And then when Harvey would get involved is when shit would always get fucked up. And that's every common story.
Every internal battle has a fall guy, and that's what he was.
Yeah, and that's sad but true. We got Culture in the chat now. I'm not sure if you're available. I'll send you the link. And we even got Paulie in the chat. Holy cow. How you doing, Paulie?
And I wanted to address Darth Scipio before about people who really want to see Dune don't give a damn that it's streaming. They're going to go to the theater. Yeah, I'm going to have to watch it on TV first, but I am going to go see it Sunday because I want to see this one on IMAX screen. Give it its just due. Especially,
yeah. I've heard a lot of people who want to see it in the theater. Like, that's the thing is they want to see that. Well, let's get into the rest of this article here because it has more to do with Dune than anything. Were you going to say something, Mike?
I was just going to say we got 3 member chats that
let's acknowledge that real quick.
Go to the private chat.
Yeah, we got, let's thank, of course, Mr. Tickle Trunk Our Wrench for being a member for 5 months. Thank you so much. Nikki D as well for 7 months. And Goddess of Whim for 7 months. Sorry, 7 months. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, indeed. I owe you guys a member stream sooner than later. Okay, so the day and date strategy is about to go away. Many a Warner media consider it has bemoaned an excessive media coverage of the decision to stream the entire 2021 Warner Brothers film slate on HBO Max and release them in theaters concurrently. But curiously, the team has been particularly vocal about its success in recent months. Neither in garnering HBO Max subscribers nor salvaging its relationship with exhibitors by promising splashy theatrical marketing budgets and a 45-day minimum window for exclusivity for its 2022 movies. We could be louder, said Forcell. Killar, sorry, not Killer, but he might as well be, echoed the statement saying, we could ring the bell a louder, which is one of the many reasons why I love getting to do what I do. Ann and Andy are humble. I'm humble, and sometimes it takes a little bit of a nudge to get us to lean in and ring that bell. Sarnoff said, perhaps most succinctly, it wasn't the time to boast. She was presumably referring to celebrating wins amidst the global pandemic and economic havoc and job losses it caused in the media sector. So basically, they're saying that, we were successful, but we didn't want to celebrate them out loud. But how are you gauging that success, I think, is the better question here, right?
Well, they're gauging the success, I always expect, based on their maintenance costs, their production costs, and how much they're bringing in through HBO Max. And I think after that first year, their profit has increased probably by maybe 5 or 6% just on the ratio between expenses and subscription, because they haven't increased their subscription prices since launch, is my understanding. At least I haven't noticed it on my bill. So that's good for them on the consistency side of things, because customers realize that it's let's see, I pay $14.99, that's Canadian. So I don't know what it is in US, probably a little bit cheaper, like $8.99 or $9.99. And if that ends up being consistent, considering the fact that Disney Plus is going to be shooting up quite a bit in the new year, and Paramount Plus I think is also going up as well, and Apple TV Plus is also going up. So if HBO Max can hold on to their price point for like another year and a half at minimum, they're probably going to see an influx in more subscribers and customers because they'll be able to get, it'll be the cheaper of the lot, excluding Peacock, of course.
Mm-hmm.
He said it.
I mean, I find it fascinating because you look at these companies, and here was the original model, and it sounded great. Hey, if we just release new stuff on the streaming, and people aren't gonna, I mean, it's total greed maneuver, right? They're like, okay, especially with the pandemic, they're like, oh, people are gonna jump and flock to it. What these people don't understand is that going to the movies, it's that comment that Jesse just made, following from the comment from Darth Scipio, is that there's still a unique movie going experience to be had that you can't capture at home. Truth be told, many times you don't want to make that additional effort, but the amount of revenue that I think is being lost is just absolutely stupendous. And I think that you got to realize that the true value for me as a consumer, you guys know how often I go to the movies, and it's my preferred way to see a movie every time to the extent that I can.
Yeah, because it's like you've got a great setup at home, right? But you could go to a movie theater that's an old mom and pop with a marquee outside and everything, real old fashioned. The screen could look like shit, and they play that movie and it looks awesome. Then you could go to some place with an IMAX, and you're like, shit, no way I'm getting one of these in my house.
Right. Well, that's a great comment that you made, Jesse, because
they're all beautiful.
Right. It's a different experience. The IMAX one that I have been to is really neat, and it's a very different experience than when I get. I mean, look, the last movie I went to see, I think, was when I went to see the James Bond movie with Polly in the local theater about a week and a half ago, and they're showing Tom and Jerry before the thing started, just like decades gone by. The popcorn tastes a little. I've got popcorn at home. It's just a different experience. And the one thing that I've noticed most of all is that when you go to the movies, you're not turning on your damn cell phone. My cell phone is off. Notifications, no buzz. It's just off, and I am immersed. I notice that when I'm watching a movie at home, even if it's super duper action packed, and I'm on an 84-inch screen, surround sound, super comfy, Posturepedic. So for the whole 9 yards, like it's a really good experience. But I'm looking at my phone, and I'm not really immersed. I'm not immersed the same way, Jesse, and that's what you're speaking of. It's an experience, right? Are you there?
I think
Jesse?
he is. Yeah, he's muted.
Oh.
No, but I agree with you guys 110%. And even though, my first time viewing Dune was in my home, and and the surround sound and all that kind of stuff really brought me into the movie, I still would have rather seen it on the big screen first. But there's nowhere near me that's playing it in IMAX, and it's an hour drive just to go to a theater. It's a pain in the ass.
Okay,
no, you're in the same position that a lot of other people are, but fortunately for you, you have a better internet connection than most other people, so streaming is not going to be too much of an issue. But again, it's all coming down to the infrastructure at hand. Like once the infrastructure gets to the point where streaming is really reliable and you can get a good quality being put out through their servers to your home smart TV or computer or Xbox or whatever have you, that's when theaters are going to become a bit more of a boutique style event. It's going to be like going to the opera or a stage play on Broadway or something of that nature. It's going to be only for like the biggest and best in one regard, or it could go the opposite, where theaters just needing to fill content and draw people start opening up negotiations with the independent market, and then having the indies guys take over the theaters while the mainstream stuff goes on streaming.
No, and don't feel bad for me, Dr. Coffin Nails. I'll go see it eventually, hopefully here in the next couple of weeks. It's just with work and everything, it's really difficult to drive an hour, go to a movie, drive an hour back. That's 2 hours drive time alone.
Plus 3 hours for the film,
exactly.
You got the previews and they have to be there early and whatnot.
And with a movie like Dune, where it is almost 3 hours already, then you're looking at more. But I'm gonna have to, figure out Ghostbusters Afterlife and stuff. But I do plan on seeing that. But no, and then I think you guys are kind of right on that whole thing. So moving on, though, Zaslav has gone to Hollywood school, according to this, since the announcement that Discovery would be taking the keys to Warner Media from AT&T. There has been much speculation about how incoming honcho Zaslav will run the show. Sarnoff, Forcell, and Kalar underscored their obligations to the regulatory process and said they have been forbidden from discussing management and transition matters with Zaslav until the transaction closes. But that doesn't mean they don't have first impressions of the man who might soon be their boss, especially after Zaslav visited the company in June for a town hall, with Kalar interviewing him. I think the teams are favorably impressed, Sarnoff said. He was authentic and approachable. He said he doesn't really understand our business in the studios and networks group. He doesn't understand the scripted side because Discovery is primarily unscripted business. Sarnoff went on to say that Zaslav has been around town going to school. I think that people like that. He's really trying to understand how to do things instead of forming his opinions too quickly. Subsequent general meetings between Zaslav and Kalar and his director reports have given our teams more comfort than he is going to understand we are and what we do. He's a guy yeah, that's a lot to say.
He's going to understand what they do and he's going to get rid of them.
Exactly. I was thinking the same exact thing here. He's a guy who has come from the media business and gets it. And as much as we love AT&T, people are excited about being pure play media company going forward. Sarnoff concluded.
Let me translate that real quick in a different way. I'm going to say it this way. It's like, hey guys, did you hear? Alexander the Great's going to come visit our country, and he's bringing lots of friends, and he's going to come hang out with us, and they're gonna come and throw a big party.
And then he's going to bang our queen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't worry about the troops. He just wants to see how we do things here. Troy Pacelli, who's a member, sent in a member chat and says, sorry I'm late. I'll catch up. No worries, Troy. You can always back it up and watch it in 2 times.
Yeah, I gotta say,
I'm talking really fast like this.
At least on Alexandria, he made the library. Then he died a month after, and then his cousin took over. It was cool.
And this is very true, John, because I did enjoy the film quite a bit. In fact, I said earlier in my review, it's probably my favorite movie of the year so far, pending things like Ghostbusters and stuff yet. But no, that is totally true to a point. But I mean, some movies like Dune just cannot and should not be viewed on a little fucking phone or tablet, right? It just,
oh God, no. What's the point? You got candy, go eat it.
And I mean, and I could see a lot of people who were probably, who would sit there and go, oh yeah, you should be seeing Star Wars in the theater, are the same people who are also going, yeah, I'll just stay home and watch Dune. It don't matter. So you can't have it both ways, right? You could if you like shitty movies. You can acknowledge, like I have, that yes, I should see it in the big screen. I'm going to try to when I can, but since I can't, I seen it in the best way possible. And again, it all depends on your, how you want to do it. But there's still one of those things where I feel like this is one of those movies, kind of like Avatar, and one of those movies that comes along once in a great while, where it really does cry to be seen, at least in the theater. So even when you rewatch it later on, you're like, you have that memory of seeing it on the big screen, right? Like it was there. And I'm sure Mike really knows what I'm talking about because you go a lot. So, but getting back into this here, Consolidation Blues. Is this the one I think this is the story I wanted? Yeah, okay. I was gonna say this is taking forever to get to the points I wanted to get to. While Hollywood's direct-to-consumer obsession is cheering Wall Street, a major consequence. Sorry, yes, I can read sometimes. Of the current M&A spree is job losses, staggering amounts in some cases. Variety asked Kalar, Forsell, and Sarnoff about the mood on the studio lot since news broke the Discovery would scoop them up, specifically referencing previous reports about fear and confusion over the days ahead. I would push back on low morale. I do not see that, said Kalar. Now let's remember, guys, when this all happened, 2 out of these 3 people basically announced that they were looking for other jobs and then walked that back.
Yeah, I also think there's some confusion because AT&T isn't giving up anything. Discovery's just taking over, kind of like a third party just coming in for new management.
It's all about saving face.
Is this article Deadline or Hollywood? Which one?
This is Variety, but Variety was the original article. A bunch of other articles have pulled from this one. This was a special roundtable that Variety got to partake in with Sarnoff, Forsell, and Kalar. And talk about everything involved here, and they get into Dune and some other things, and that's why I brought it up today. But yeah,
we're so glad Alexander the Great is here, and we can't wait for the new Roman Caesar to show up, and it's going to be awesome. This is going to be a great transition.
Yeah,
and then you're fired.
Yeah.
And then what you got to really watch out for is Cleopatra's brother.
Christy Hauberger. Warner Media Chief Inclusion Officer. Oh, your job's done. An executive vice president of communications referenced in an internal study that the company measured job satisfaction. It was conducted before the news of the Discovery deal broke in May. About 17,000 of the company's 28,000 employees participated. We continue to measure those things, and we have not seen meaningful change since, Hauberger said. Well, yeah, because fucking Warner is a big fucking clusterfuck.
Yeah, they don't. I would not be surprised if they just don't care at this point. They're like, please, just someone clean house.
Honestly, that's funny you say that, Script, because one of the guys I have not really heard much from lately, so I don't even know if he still has a job. But that's kind of what they were saying for the longest time, is like, this is a fucking madhouse. Nobody knows what anybody's doing. Hamada is not leading shit. Fucking.
I mean, you know who really should get married for a real dysfunctional Hollywood relationship is Paramount and Warner Brothers.
Oh God, no.
Yeah. Oh my God. Can you imagine if Paramount and Warner Brothers announced them? Like they said they were selling it to Paramount, and that was the new.
The problem is with Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers is the rich kid who has everything he could ever ask for, need, or want. Is on a fast track to fucking it all up with cocaine and gonna hit a brick fucking wall with their Ferrari. Right?
Yeah, he's doing lines off the steering wheel and doesn't realize that he's also driving at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. Warner Brothers is Leonardo DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street, kids. that is the extent of this shit. They have all the money in the world to burn, and they don't have any idea that they're about to hit the biggest brick wall they've ever fucking seen if they don't chill the fuck out. They're lucky Zaslav is coming in here to clean up this fucking mess. So I guarantee you lots of people in the company are just like, thank God we finally have an adult.
Well, I mean, I don't want to put all our eggs in one basket here. I'm really hoping Zavlov does that, but there's always a chance that he might just end up drinking the Kool-Aid, and
I don't think so.
There's always a chance, man. There's always a chance.
I know what you're saying, but you like that last paragraph. Like, you don't say shit like that knowing full well. And come on, Kalar and Sarnoff, they know their time is up here. They're just playing ball until they're done, right? You know they're looking for fucking other jobs. They're not going to stay. This is it. Zaslav is going to come in, and you could be right, Script. It could be, but no.
Oh no, I guarantee there's going to be a lot of people like leaving Warner Brothers, but I don't necessarily mean that doesn't. Just because there's a new guy behind the wheel doesn't mean they're still not going to be on the different course.
That is true.
Especially, like that's the thing we have to keep a very close eye on. Really, as like fans and people following this along, and I myself as career opportunities. If Zavlov ends up just doing the same stuff over that Warner Brothers is doing, but manages to lose less money doing it, it's still going to be considered a success, but it's not going to be really too beneficial for everyone else involved.
No, and you could be right in certain respects, and Werewolf makes a point here. Chief Inclusion Officer is actually the chief of Twitter's offense lobby. That's very true, and you could be right. I'm just going off of the fact of how I know how he works, right? Like, his whole thing with the company that he started over there, not started, but he when he started over there anyway, he would come in and he would just revamp everything until it worked, right? Until the next thing I know, and this is what I kept telling people, and Mikey, and I'm sure Script, you remember too.
Yep.
Specifically, I kept bringing it up for the longest time. Everybody I'd talked to about streaming services, some had HBO Max, a lot had Disney Plus. But whenever I get on the subject with them, the first thing they would talk about is, but that Discovery Plus. I got to have my Discovery Plus. And that was the words I would hear. It's like, I wasn't hearing, I got to have HBO Max. I got to have Netflix. It's, no, I got to have my Discovery Plus. Right. And Paulie, if he's still in the chat, he's one of the people that is one of those people that has said the same kind of thing to me. And when he said that to me, it's like, what is it with this fucking thing that everybody's got to have? And him and a few other people would all have the same answers. It's like, to be able to keep up with these shows, you have to have it. And so it makes it a have to have thing. And that's what HBO Max wants. They want you to want to have it. So you're right. The other side of this could be, he could do well for HBO Max side of things, but it could be horrible for the other side of things. You could be right on that part.
I just want to maintain that we're all cautiously optimistic. Because
yes, we're cautiously optimistic and we're speculating. So let's be real about that.
There's also that too, because again, like we've seen other people come in to quote unquote take charge of a studio or a certain franchise, and what has happened, right?
Well, you know, it's
Now, I
always
don't
fun to watch
discredit
some shit
anyone
hit
here
the
saying
fan.
like, oh yeah, these guys in the interview, they're doing everything they can just to bide their time until things change, and also make sure that the reputation is in good standing for when they have to go, find a new work.
Right, because this guy's no joke. Script. I mean,
no,
like,
he's not.
oh, this guy's no joke. Like this isn't the kind of guy that you want to say, "Oh my God, he's coming in, and we're so concerned."
No, he's cutthroat as fuck.
Yeah, this is not. This is a guy. This is a guy with juice. This is a guy who's got numbers behind him. This is a guy who's a proven. I mean, look, he's not an accountant, but he approached things from a numerical perspective.
See, if they were smart, they'd turn all this into a reality TV show.
Well, let me tell you something, Jesse.
Bomb around with a camera, firing people.
I know you probably haven't been keeping up with this stuff as much as we have since you came to the show here more recently. But Zaslav is the kind of guy where he won't just cancel a show; he'll cancel an entire fucking network, and revamp the whole fucking thing overnight, like he did it practically with True TV.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, he got rid of a lot of people at True TV.
Well, hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this guy will not.
And that's the problem, though, because when people create a mess, it's because there's too many people around who don't want to be. Sometimes you got too many chefs running the stew. Sometimes you got no chefs. You got a sous chef, and you got some guy outside smoking a cigarette.
What's also kind of funny is how Killar and them are talking about how Zaslav is learning a little bit of the film school sort of thing, but on Discovery and on True TV, stuff that he does, there is a lot of scripted content.
I was going to bring that up. Thank you for bringing that back up, Script, because you know this for a fact because you work in the world of writing. So please enlighten us about how these shows are actually not as unscripted as they try to claim.
Well, with reality TV, it's basically producers that are normally like normal producers, people that acquire money, cast, whatnot, and put stuff together. They do a little bit hand on the writing. But on top of that, like, for instance, True TV, which I think is still adjacent with Discovery and still under Zaslav, they have scripted shows, and I mean fully scripted shows. They have Tacoma FD, which is the Broken Lizard comedy about firefighters. They had Adam Ruins Everything, which was a scripted show as well.
I actually didn't hate that show, actually.
No, it was actually pretty good. And the fact that they also listed their sources made it more entertaining because it wasn't just conjecture or anything. Like, oh, we can back this up here. They have an actual, scripted and fiction department with under his auspices. So I think what's happening here is that we have these three people who are patronizing Zaslav without realizing it, saying like, yeah, he doesn't know the scripted stuff or this thing as well. When he may not know it in the detail that they think they know it, but he knows it enough that it's been working well on his smaller channels, so to speak.
I mean, the analogy when I read this article, there's been several of this, and the tone that I'm getting is this is the big general contractor that builds hundreds of houses, and then he comes to the local carpenter and it's like, oh, and he doesn't understand how we use that hammer and nails and our unique artistic approach to using the hammer and nails. Okay, whatever the fuck. Okay, we're gonna go make some money now.
Yep, you're just like move.
Yeah.
Like, get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I would liken it to where, like, this. You make a very good analogy. It'd be one person, one contractor that makes like a 3-story house versus another contractor that makes skyscrapers. But the thing is that the guy who's made the 3-story houses has made some smaller high-rise buildings that may not be as complicated as a skyscraper, but enough of the information that he's learned does translate, and he can actually reapply it to that when he brings in, the right crew that's used to building skyscrapers. Like, that's Zaslav. He's the guy that may just be doing some small stuff on the side, but when push comes to shove, he can, be part of that skyline, so to speak, if he really wants to.
Yep. Hey, Tom, we got a couple member chats in the private chat. And we lost Tom, so I'll go ahead and read them. Okay, so Troy Pacelli, member for 2 months. Oh, no, wait. It says
4 months.
4 months. Maximum effort puppy. Sorry I'm late. I will catch up. Yeah, so he's a member for 4 months. That's weird. The thing he said.
I think he maybe upgraded his membership, right?
Oh,
I think I read that one earlier. Actually,
you did? Oh, sorry, my bad.
No, that's fine. But we didn't get one from Stephen Otten here. Well, deleted scenes. Says, hail Mike and Jesse and Wrenches, and chat just got out of Dune. It's the best movie of the year. Only thing wrong is it's half a movie.
So many people are saying
but it's supposed to be a long ass half a movie. That's the thing. Could you have gone 6 hours without taking a piss? Come on, man.
Though, it doesn't
given the pacing
feel...
of the script, it would have been a tight 2 hours, but the fact that it's 2.5, that's Denis Villeneuve kind of.
It doesn't feel that stretched out, though, really. I mean, it
hope it
does
doesn't.
have a 70s kind of style to it, like with the filming.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm used to that. I like that. So, but I didn't feel like it was.
Yeah, well, because that was my big issue with Blade Runner 2049, amongst other things. But like, it just was drawn out unnecessarily in parts. So, and that's my only apprehension with Dune. But after the show, I'm gonna watch it, and yeah, I'll be on a projector screen. Granted, it's 8 feet across and 6 feet high. It's still pretty big, but
right.
It's not the theater that I was expecting it to.
Well,
It's
like
not
I was
IMAX
saying earlier during our review, I think the sound will be almost.
I'm fine with sound. I got a couple of Bose speakers, and it can do up to 7.5 or 7.1.
Yeah, then you should be good.
Yeah.
Because it is a sound experience.
Brent Sanders in the chat
says Dune went 2.5. It does.
I hope so.
Well, I mean, it takes a couple minutes to get rolling, but like once you're into the shit, it just clicks along pretty well.
Now, should I just wait till the weekend and go see it in the theater, or should I watch it first on TV, then go see it in the theater?
Do both, because if you watch it on HBO Max, they catalog that number, and that goes towards them getting that sequel.
All right.
And that kind of goes into the next part here. We're going to get up.
Plus, it works with my impulsiveness.
I'm going to skip to the. Let's see here.
The big 3 part.
Example, Henry Squid. Okay, well, here's what we talked about earlier, where everything they're making is pretty much a spin-off for something, right?
Yeah.
Like that's kind of their whole plan with this thing. And then let's see here. Let's see. As Warner Media aims to draw new subscribers, the company has analyzed who, how, and what brings in business to HBO Max. As a result of that analysis, Sarnoff confidentially asserted that not very confidentially, the streamer has a long-term staying power. In terms of those 3 streaming services that we think are winners, we are going to be one of them. See, this is something we've been saying for a while, isn't it?
Yeah, I think they're in a race for second place behind Netflix.
Yep. And this is what we've been telling everybody. When the dust all settles, you're probably going to wind up with like 3.5 basically streamers. You're going to have 1 or 2 that's going to barely hang on, but it's going to boil down to the big 3, basically.
And that's fine, because that's less bills.
Well, yeah, you'd be spending between $60 and $75 a month on your all 3 of those streaming services.
It's the same price as cable at the end of the day. It's just a different way to do it.
Yeah, because let's be real. Peacock is probably not going to make it.
No, I think Peacock's going to make it because it's got multiple tiers and it's really, really cheap.
Yeah, but don't you think it's just going to be scooped up by somebody else and absorbed into another umbrella?
Well, Universal's still a pretty big company.
Comcast has that, but I mean, if they run that, it's just going to be as basically their outlet for their NBC and all that kind of stuff.
And also, they've got football on Peacock, so that's
there you go.
That's a good anchor.
But they're never going to be one of the contenders, is my point.
I don't think definitely won't be one of the main contenders. Not with the current stuff that they're doing now, but it's affordability, it's easy access, and the sports package will keep it definitely in a nice, cozy place at number 4 or 5, where it won't go away, but it's not going to do anything major unless it really invests in some big shows. And they were probably going to do that with Battlestar Galactica, but I don't think that's happening right now. There's been no talk or move on it in a year.
Yeah, Warwolf says spinoffs. They're going to be dizzy as fuck soon then. Oh, yeah, they've got plenty of spinoffs in order.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what HBO Max wants. They need content. But moving on with that point, in terms of the 3 streaming, Sarnoff pointed out the breadth and depth of the company's upcoming slate, which boasts 5 DC movies, including The Batman, Black Adam, and Aquaman, all of which made a splash last Saturday at the 2nd annual DC Fandom virtual convention. Sure, if you say so. And the Game of Thrones.
It's a charitable thing to say. Yeah, a splash.
Which she pegs as another 4-quadrant draw. We can serve the entire family as well as give people those amazing kind of fan-centric series and shows, she explained. We're really doubling down on both areas, and that's why we're spending so much money on our content. See, she even used the term content. We've raised our game tremendously in the last year. Sarnoff did not elaborate on the defined a winning streaming service on what defined a winning streaming service. Sorry, though Kalar later offered that a metric he used was the company's ability to divest from Amazon's wholesale channel platform and still amass subscriber at volume. And if you guys remember, that happened recently,
and it actually ended up being okay for HBO and Warner Brothers.
Yes, so there's only 3 I see. Warner has that's the thing. It's like they basically only have themselves to blame for most of the problems they have, right?
Yes.
they're like their own worst enemy every fucking turn, every place, because I've said from the start, HBO Max is the perfect name for the streaming service because everybody knows HBO. It has a brand already. Warner Brothers has one of the deepest fucking catalogs you can find. They've got shit for years to fucking, work with.
Yep, for all ages.
Well, what's funny is that Warner Brothers and Paramount both have some of the best catalogs in the industry and the worst means of promoting them on streaming.
Unfortunately, yeah. But HBO Max has come leaps and bounds as far as the service goes. Yeah, as far as its navigation and stuff from where it was. It has a long ways to go.
It's got a long ways to go, bro.
But compared
I think it's going to change in the next 2 years.
Oh, Peacock is making me think HBO Max is a fucking way ahead of the game because they're just barely behind like Amazon and Netflix right now. Like I said, Paramount Plus is dead. Half the other ones, if it wasn't for Amazon, like they were saying here, they wouldn't have a substantial fan base. Because remember, like 2 years ago, how much of a big deal they made about CBS All Access being such a huge success once they moved it onto Amazon. That's because they still couldn't get. They're still going to combine it with Showtime, kids.
Yeah,
they already announced that. We got a member chat though from Chef Nation. Thank you so much for that. Says, I'm a huge Uncharted fan. Love the games. This movie trailer missed the mark. They took bits and pieces from all the games and made a movie. Shaking my head. Well, I heard there was a trailer leak. I have not seen it myself, but I'm also not a huge fan of the game, so I can't really gauge it. I don't know if any of you guys watched it. Did you, Jesse?
No, I haven't seen it, but like I played Uncharted, I could take it or leave it personally.
I remember Uncharted was marketed as a fake movie because that was how intense and awesome the gameplay was. I mean,
well, the cutscenes and the story were great. The cutscenes and the story were great, but the gameplay was a little bit generic. Yeah. But that wasn't their fault. That was more of the constraints of the systems back then.
Yeah. Like just go Google some of the original commercial ads for Uncharted, and you'll have like a girlfriend talking about like the movie Uncharted and like how much she wants to see it, but it's the guy's like, I haven't got the balls to tell her that it's a video game and I'm playing it.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
Yeah, like that's their marketing strategy for it, and you think, oh, okay, so this should be an easy translation to the screen. It's like I'm hearing mixed things, and they missed the mark. They could have gotten Nathan Fillion. Yeah, he's a little old, but Nathan Drake is supposed to be a middle-aged man, essentially, or approaching middle-aged in this type of adventure. So why not? They wanted Tom Holland because they really wanted to stretch this franchise out for as long as they possibly could.
I have no comment because I have no idea what you guys are talking about with this Uncharted thing.
Well, the trailer leaked online yesterday, I guess.
It was basically like
the same way that Spider-Man Far No Way Home
or romancing the stone type of a thing, but like he was going into the jungle looking for all kinds of artifacts and shit, and then it turned out to be drugs.
Yeah, Andrew, you're not wrong. HBO's interface does suck, but it's not got nothing on Peacock as far as sucking. Yeah, 6 wants me to say her name, so 6666666. Did I say it 6 times? I think so.
Number of the beast.
Twice. Let's jump ahead here a little bit to. Okay, so we already got that anyway. I might as well just read this. There's only 3 companies on the planet that can make this decision from a position of strength at Warner, and Warner is clearly one of them. Clark explained, calling out Netflix and Disney as the other 2 industry leaders. As for the typical consumer who was a subscriber via Amazon, Kalar is encouraged that they will find their way to HBO Max platform instead. Dune Double Down. Okay, here's the part that we were going to talk about. Did you guys have anything to say, though, about the separation from Amazon, or do you think we covered that?
I think I think a lot of people who had HBO through Amazon are going to find their way. I think he's right there. I think they're going to find their way to HBO Max. If they like the content, they'll go there.
And HBO does have a nice bit of the classic content. So, I mean, they do have some new stuff, not nearly as much as they should, but I don't think that I would come.
No, but it's a good source of movies.
Yes. Though earnings are on the
and
brink.
Doom Patrol.
Yeah. Variety's conversation with the Warner Media leadership also came on the eve of Dune, Denis Villeneuve's sci-fi epic that has many industry observers watching closely for box office and streaming performance. The opening title of the movie proclaims that the project is Dune Part 1, and Villeneuve's previously told that he's optimistic he will get to shoot the sequel to Frank Herbert's 1965 novel. But is the Warner Media team ready to officially announce and greenlight for Part 2? This is what I was talking about. A lot of people were taking this as a confirmation that Dune 2 is a definite thing. And I tried to reiterate, no, it is not. Because if you listen to what Anne's saying here, it's not a done deal yet. She says, I'm not breaking any news today, but the team is more than happy with the $130 million film. And this is another thing. They've been saying this movie was 160 some million for a while, too.
Well, I thought it was closer to 200.
Yeah. So did I.
But this is not anything new. Like, we had a conversation with
Why is the conversation starving for content but don't want to make another Dune?
I think it'll happen, but I'll get to that point here in a minute. Here's the thing is when they tell us what, and I'm sure Script can back me up on this too. When they tell you a budget, they never tell the fucking truth. And this is why I always say it all depends on who's fucking asking whether or not a movie made any money. Gary Tunnicliffe has told us a great example of this is when they shot the fourth Exorcist film. In the press and the media, they were claiming that the movie cost $65 million, but they really only spent 30 on it. That happens sometimes.
So did somebody get to pocket that, or are they just numbers?
No, it's some tricky accounting so that they can offset how much they have to do on taxes the following year. Like Mike, you know exactly what.
Yeah, I know exactly what they're doing. Yeah. Basically, then by saying that, then that allows them to grab the tax credits, which is still good as cash, and then they take the cash and they take the cash tax free. Got it.
And then on top, they can either roll that over into another production or use it to offset a loss.
Yep. And after watching me how to not ever pay house taxes again.
And judging from the film, there seemed to be a lot more as far as there is CGI in this movie, but not to the extent that you would probably think. Only in the grander scenes. Otherwise, it's all clearly sets and real outside, like real places, like when they shot
locations.
Locations. That's the word I'm going to. Thank you. Real location shooting. So outside of various add-ons to certain scenes and the bigger set pieces, most of the movie is not CGI heavy. Right, so I can see them pulling this off for that $130 million. I believe that's the real closer number. And considering
IMDb Pro says that its production budget's 165.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody's been saying 165 or 170.
Well, if you're looking at location shoots with tax credits and practical sets, that is very expensive.
Yeah, and that's without. Let's just say it was 165 million. That's what it says on IMDb Pro. And that doesn't include any interest, carrying costs of release and yada yada yada.
Or maybe it does include that, and it was 130, and they lost about 34 million on the delay. That can make sense. I can see that happening.
Yep, I agree with you.
There you go. So let's move on here. We're really happy with what we're doing. What we're at 14 days in. They're more than 14 days in. I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. He said Sarnoff did illuminate that factors will determine whether a sequel eventually gets to go ahead. See, it is not a done deal. The story itself is set up for a sequel. The production is so amazing and the storytelling is so compelling that it's not going to be judged on box office alone, Sarnoff said, explaining that the green light will be based on the entirety of what Dune can do for the company, including HBO Max. And this is what Andre and I have been telling you guys we heard a while back, is that this now has more to do with what it brings in for HBO Max. The fucking box office don't matter. Yeah. They don't really give a shit anymore about the box office. This is everything to do with how this plays on, because it's a loss leader at this point. That's the way they're treating it. And despite the fact that they're probably leaving so much money on the table by not just releasing this first in theaters, this is all about HBO Max now. And this is what I've been telling everybody for about 2 years now, almost, when I've said this before, that this is a year ago when they decided to do this whole thing. That's the same thing I was told, is this is all, they are all about HBO Max now. Everything is being put into HBO Max. They don't really give a shit. so much about the theaters. The
HBO Max is the future. I mean, it really is.
The only reason they're doing, and this is what I was told, again, kind of getting into a little bit more, the only reason they're going back, and I was one of the first people to break this to everybody, that they were going back to day and date, or they were getting rid of the day and date thing, is because they are not making the kind of money they need to make to produce these movies. And
so they're at the same stage of realization that maybe Disney has, but they're behind them.
Yes, exactly. Huh. It's all the same shit. They can sit here and say all day long that it's a successful this, a successful that, and people can say that theaters are dead all day long, but it still doesn't change the fact that if they want to make a movie for 100, 130, 200 million dollars, they still need the theatrical run, because it's not just the theatrical run. It's all the ancillary shit that comes with it. And it's the value that it adds to the film. Once you drop a movie on streaming, it is just content now. It is no longer anything that is, somebody.
It's straight to video.
Exactly. It's basically the same as straight to video.
Yep.
Look at what happened to Trolls 2 and all the other shit that came out in the last year that they did that to. Those Blu-rays just sat on the shelves collecting dust. They killed their ancillary market. And we also, though, what you notice, though, is the studios know that there's an ancillary market, because despite what they want to fucking make you believe, 2021, there was more Blu-rays produced since Blu-ray was introduced into the market. Although you wouldn't know that by walking into a fucking store. Which is strange. It goes against everything they're trying to tell us and make us believe. They're trying to tell us that physical media is dying. Then why have they produced more physical media this year than ever since?
I can tell you why.
That's fascinating.
It's because of the advanced sales. Because, again, retailers have to buy that physical media wholesale. And to return it back to those distributors is really, really difficult for retailers. So this is how they get, like, the physical media aspect usually was a continuing cash flow for them. But now they're looking at it in the way of a burst. So it's like, okay, we can get the physical media out, the retailers get it, but we also circumvent that because we also have the same content on our streaming service. So we're able to actually double dip with the customer. They can buy it on physical media, whether they buy it or not. The retailers have purchased it, and they also have the streaming services. They have access to it as well. So we can either get double the sales, so we have to resupply that order, or we get a single sale on each side of the market. Because again, like studios do not, they sell in bulk to places like Walmart, to Radio Shack when that was a place, and Best Buy and all those things, and Advanced, and that's paid for by every fiscal quarter. And the studios get to keep that money. And if the stuff doesn't sell, it goes on clearance, and anything that's left there, they can't send it back to get a refund on what they purchased. So it's basically, they've just taken the money from those retailer companies, and it's up to the retailer to sell that to the customer. But at the same time, as I said earlier, the studios are doing it direct to market via streaming to the customer as well. So they're able to sell to a retailer and hurt them financially, while at the same time selling to the customer so that they can still get the product.
Well, here's the thing, though. Warner, not Warner, Best Buy and Walmart's, they've all pretty much shut down their physical media sections. A lot of it's
cut it in half.
It's terrible. You have to order everything online now.
Like, that's the thing, is online, though, things are booming. And yes, for a while, they had us believing. I just learned this shit in the last week. This is some stuff I did when I was trying to do some digging for other things, and I found some information on things that I did not know, because they went and closed down the production studio or production facilities in the U.S. except for one, as far as discs go. And now the problem is there's a bunch of movies that are backed the fuck up. And that's why all these movies are getting delayed and people aren't getting their movies on time like they're supposed to, is because there's only one facility in the U.S. that's handling it. So now they're outsourcing everything to Canada, Germany, and Mexico, because they went and shut down all the plants like 2-3 years ago. They've been trying to kill physical media. That has been their goal, but they realize they need it. And now they're putting themselves in a position where nobody wants to sell it for them but online retailers.
Yeah.
Warner even made a deal with Amazon for the Warner Archive now. We talked about that a little while back.
So you think then you guys going to come into town, I'll let Chapek knock this dual release shit out the door and say, hey, we're going to go get the money.
Oh, it's done. It's been done.
Should. Yeah.
No, this is the last of it.
They should have done that a long time ago, man.
They got enough numbers to know exactly what they want to do.
Matrix is like one of the last big movies that's going to do this. And I was surprised that they
I couldn't believe that they were doing that.
I knew why they were doing it, but then when I heard what I had heard before, I was almost convinced that they were going to get talked out of putting Dune on day and date. The only reason I feel like they're still doing it is because Warner Brothers dropped $100 million check down for it. That's the only reason, as far as I can tell, that they're still doing this. Because they don't have as much invested in Dune as Legendary does. See, Legendary is the one who's pissed because they got fucked over on Godzilla versus Kong. And then they were really pissed about this one because this was their big movie, right?
Well, after Tenet, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, and then after what happened with Tenet, like that, they didn't want to deal with this shit. So, after the nonsense that went down with Godzilla versus Kong, Warner Brothers just sent them a check for $200 million to cover Kong and Godzilla and Dune. So right there is what happened. And that's the only reason I feel like they're still on. Otherwise, Warner would have went away from this. So I wouldn't even be completely surprised yet if they change their mind on Matrix. The only way it's probably going to stay that way is because they've kind of committed to it already. And I think they're probably a little bit scared about that when they don't know how well that one's going to go. But I digress.
It would go better if it had a little mystique to it.
But yeah, so as we were saying, Dune 2 is not necessarily a done deal, kids. They do have the spinoff Dune Sisterhood coming up on HBO Max. That is still going, and that's just found.
Do they have traveling pants?
No, they don't. But they have traveling broomsticks though. Anyway, they talk more about the money being spent, which is a lot. Much ado about Jason. Kalar was less concrete about his future with the media because, like, yeah, him and Sarnoff have both said they were going to leave, and then they backed off on that. I still think at least Jason's going to leave. I wouldn't be surprised if Sarnoff and Hamada and a few others are gone if this all goes through. But yeah, so that's the gist of this whole thing. Unless you guys think there was anything else we really needed to get into this article here, because I think we've covered it pretty fucking well.
No, I mean, Sarnoff has basically said to the public, this is how we're going to raise the view the metric for Dune. It's HBO Max. So, yeah, go see it in theaters, get that experience, then watch it on HBO Max, and I don't know, put it on repeat if you really want that sequel, because that's the only way they're gonna acknowledge it.
Yeah, I think so. I know, Jesse, you plan on seeing it. Mike, you got tickets for it, right?
Well, I did, but I can't. I was supposed to see it today, but I got too busy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Told me, yeah.
And so I'm gonna go. I'm probably gonna see it in Dallas Saturday or Sunday night. I got to go to Dallas for the weekend tomorrow, and I'll be back for the show Tuesday. But I'm literally like. Thank God I'm so busy, because I don't know if I can hold myself back from watching on HBO Max if I have the time. But I want to see it in the theater. It's like what Darcipio said earlier and what Jesse said. If I have to wait till Saturday, Sunday, I want to wait till Saturday, Sunday, even though I've been dying for this thing for 6-7 freaking weeks.
A couple more days.
And it's been 6-7 freaking weeks. Like freaking Andre is like talking about it, and I'm just like, Andre was right too. And Tom, you were right too. You guys said that interest is going to wane, and interest did wane, and I'm interested now, but I'm not at all fired up like I was 6 weeks ago. I'm not at all, but I want to see it. I'm still going to see it, but I was on pins and needles before. Now I'm kind of like, okay, it's, gotta check the box,
And we did have a couple super chats that I had accidentally missed earlier. We have
I thought you were grabbing those.
Crunk, who said Script ever subscribed to Crave HBO-ish access?
Yeah, I have Crave. Yeah,
you have Crave. Yep.
It doesn't just have HBO access. It's got a whole bunch of other streaming programs and stuff on there as well. It's quite useful, and I think it's probably going to be something that the United States will have to adopt pretty soon to pick and choose from various shows or other streaming services.
Yep.
All right, and then the other super chat I missed before, sorry about that, was Diego Flores, who says something me and Pablo talked about that happens a lot in Latin America. Sometime movies that are good, people buy the bootleg just to say, gotta see in theaters now. I think this will happen again. Well, that's kind of what goes on with piracy sometimes. And that's where I will argue that in a lot of cases, especially with the bigger movies, piracy isn't always a bad thing, or TV shows and things of that sort. Now, when you're talking about smaller independent features, that's a totally different argument.
Yeah, because finding a theater that has that indie movie is tricky. But yeah, I'm not a promoter of piracy. No one at this channel or on the main channel is, of course. But there is an advantage to it, which is that maybe you're apprehensive and you're like, well, I can see the movie. It's like, oh, I see this. I like it. I'm going to go to the theater and really get that experience. And then you go. There is a metric. Like, there are studios that have that metric where they know, okay, this is how many times it's been downloaded. This is how we can correlate it with the growth of the performance in theaters, and they can see. And that's why it hasn't been cracked down on as hard as you'd otherwise think it would be, especially with the music industry when that happened. Like, that was really, they came down really hard on music. Nowhere near that elevation has come close with theaters.
Right. I love the super chat by Cyber Soldier, who says, after the merger, I expect Warner Brothers to turn into the Red Wedding. Executives fired left and right.
I would say their contracts are going to be renegotiated and then they'll be moved somewhere else.
Well, I think, here's the thing that gets me with Warner, and maybe Script, you can help me understand this. Why is when I look at the studio structure, I'm on IMDb Pro, and I look at, okay, oh, you already know where I'm going. Okay. So I look at the studio structure. I'm like, these guys have vice presidents for freaking everything. It's like they might as well, like when you look at the corporate structure, you don't want to have a bunch of different fiefdoms. In fact, I think I remember at Exxon when we took over mobile. This has got 20 years, 30 years. I don't even know how long ago it was.
That was 25 years ago.
Yeah. So one of the things that we did is when we came into mobile, we looked at their org chart. And we're like, why do you have all these vice presidents for all these different fiefdoms? And then I just looked at the Warner Brothers chart about a week ago. I'm just like, good God, look at this mess. It's like they almost need a vice president for like broom closets or a vice president for catering. I mean, they've got little fiefdoms all over the place. And each of these departments, divisions, has their own budgets. I mean, no wonder they can't get the ship going in the same direction.
Well,
right,
it's the American Psycho thing. Like that, you have that boardroom of nothing but vice presidents, but they don't do anything. And that's the studio system, especially at Warner Brothers and a couple other places. Disney has that as well to a degree. But yeah, it's positions for nepotism, positions for moving money and accounting and a whole bunch of other issues as well. It's also a lot of degrees of separation in order to see how well a project travels. If there's a really hot project, it'll hit all those departments really quickly, and then the people up ahead will be like, hey, all these departments know about this script, this story, we got to go ahead and shoot it. And that usually helps as well. It's kind of like a weird barometer for measuring something that they can get going. What's weird is that it doesn't seem to be working for their in-house stuff, but for their original IPs, like the movie The Martian, I believe Warner Brothers did that one. That did really well. And I think there's that writer is doing another thing as well, another movie as well, which is going to another, like the sun is darkening, I think, and the guy travels to another solar system where there's the only sun in the galaxy is not darkening for some reason. Right. Weird science fiction stuff, but I think Warner Brothers is getting behind that as well for, I think, 2024. So yeah, like there's some they do have a metric in there, but when it's in their in-house stuff, they have no idea what's going on. But stuff that gets pitched to them through agencies and managers, if it travels across all those redundant vice presidencies and departments, it usually means it's a good sign. But you're absolutely right. They do need to cut all of that stuff down and really get it into more of a focus point, because just in the article of Variety, they advertise that they're approaching 30,000 employees. Right. That's not necessarily a good thing.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's great for an economy point of view, but again, studios run as competently as government in some regards, and the more you have doesn't usually mean better.
Right. Well, this one's for you, Script. How would you feel if Alejandro Jodorowsky actually got his Dune made?
You would all hate it. I can guarantee you that.
Probably. It would have been batshit crazy. It'd have been fun to watch.
He is nuts.
I bet you would have been one of those movies that would be like, watch it with Dark Side of the Moon or some shit.
Probably. I mean, you don't understand. He is nuts. He is so full of himself in his head. He's done irreparable damage to his kids psychologically. And again, the entire special effects team that he put together for his Dune, they all went off to do their own things. They took the favorite stuff that they created for Dune. They created that stuff themselves. It wasn't under Jodorowsky's ideas. There was all them pitching the ideas, and they took those ideas to basically ILM and a couple of other studios, and that's why we see, at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Ark itself has got that giant beam that goes into the heavens. Why you got some of the weird stuff in Alien and some of the weird takes and angles and settings in Star Wars.
Take a lot of his stuff that was like some of the original shit that he brought to the table and turn it into his own like comic book or some shit like that.
Well, the original thing he brought to the table for Dune was that Leto Atreides was castrated and Paul was a child born of a drop of blood.
Yeah, well, like, didn't he
Wow,
do like
that's
a
a
comic
big
book though that
difference.
was kind of loosely based on his the design?
Yeah, he did. He did eventually release, I think, a comic in like 2010, maybe earlier than
Well,
that.
yeah, check
Of
that
his,
out, Brian. If you haven't had a chance, that'll
yeah,
kind of give
check
you an
that out.
idea.
The art in there is
Yeah.
actually gorgeous. I've seen some stills from it because it's in the documentary. But
Yeah, I think as an animated film with the designs that they had, that would have been an amazing movie. But like you're right, like Jordan, I don't think the movie would have been.
well,
It would have been
I've seen
more
some of
one
his other
those, like,
films, and they're
Plan 9 from Outer
incomprehensible.
Space kind of. Yeah, it'd been like a Plan 9 from Outer Space or Manos Hands of Fate kind of
Yeah,
thing.
like the thing is, Jodorowsky knows how to like get good deals and negotiate with people and get good actors and talent. But the thing is, he doesn't have a narrative eye that's needed for directing. That's kind of why his name didn't really travel until that Dune documentary came out. Like you kind of heard him in the undergrounds. He was as popular as like Neil Breen before Neil Breen became popular. Like
Yeah.
it's really, yeah, you got to really be
No,
deep
and
in
then
the industry to know who some of those people are.
and then all the stuff that Giger, however you say his name, did for Dune, they ended up using in Lynch's version. So
Yeah,
we did get to see portions of it, really, in some aspects. But yeah, so there you go. Let's see here. We got Henry V3 who says, "Do you think Harry Styles will wear a dress as arrows?"
Oh, he's probably wearing
Harry
one right now.
is that the
so-
singer?
Yes, he's playing arrows. Yes,
Well, I thought he's playing Star Fox.
same difference, I guess. I don't fucking know.
No, I listen. When it comes to like getting into the Eternals world of things, that's a little bit out of my purview of that. I'm more planetary side Marvel.
The Feige comments on the don't even get me started on Feige.
I apologize because, like, yeah, this whole thing with the Eternals to me, I think, is going to be. I hate.
Are we going to do a master cluster frack stream on this next week?
I have a feeling it's going to be like the next Captain Marvel.
I do too. I think we should.
There's
I think we need to
about it
allocate
that
next
tells me
Thursday night just to slicing and dicing that piece of crap, which is
because I've talked to a couple people now besides Robert Meyer Brunette who have kind of seen it, and just something about it. It's gonna be a divisive film. Kit Kat says, "I really love the backdrop and the moving stars. If you guys were in a spaceship, yeah, I saw you guys. Some people were having some issues with the backdrop. Sorry, I was trying to be Halloweeny with having the cool backdrop,
With the poltergeist thing.
yeah, the poltergeist thing. So, but that's no problem. I understand. Sometimes people have issues with that, and totally respect that. So,
You need to get that the Star Wars hyperdrive tunnel.
yeah. Well, I do have it in one thing, but I don't know if I can fit it on this. That's the thing is crappy is it has to be like a GIF. And the quality is kind of shitty. So I have like this one, and I have that one, and then of course I have the.
Unless we OBS it like we do over at Echo Base Network.
Yeah.
But then that's a pain in the butt sometimes.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really the main topic for today. There really wasn't much else because I figured I wasn't even sure about doing a show because after doing our Dune roundtable, I thought a lot of people just want to watch Dune tonight. So I wasn't even sure people would show up. But amazingly, 300 of you guys are watching. Thank you so much for that. Please hit that like button if you haven't already. We appreciate that so much. Yeah, I don't know about dragging the show out too much more unless any of you guys knew of anything that was.
No, I think also too, I do think we should do a member stream if we can this weekend or next week.
Yes, that is definitely in the cards. We want to do a regular member stream for Midnight's Edge After Dark. Plus, we want to do like a one that's a good timed for the international audience on the main channel. So we are promising to do that very, 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 very soon. So there you go. So yeah, I got 3 hours in me. I might, but I really wasn't totally prepared for a show tonight. That's the truth. And Mike has been a fucking trooper helping me in the background here tonight because I just was not totally prepared, but enough people asked, so I was like, I should do it. And I just wasn't sure if you guys would all be off watching Dune.
I'm practically asleep, but I'm here.
No, that's all right.
Hey, it's better
you're
than
making
that
up
night
for the other night, Jesse. Yeah,
exactly. It's better than that night where you were like slamming a bottle and going through it. I mean, I love you, Jesse, and it was a funny show, but
a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, when you were chasing the tequila worm last week.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good God.
I went to sleep after that.
I mean, I'm like pinching myself like, yes, you still love Jesse. Yes, you still love Jesse. Yes, you still love Jesse.
Troy Pacelli says he's got tickets for tomorrow night, and he'll be doing a live review after. I'm sure I'll get sucked into a few conversations about it. And Night Raven was watching Dune when I'm sorry, but at least you could pause it. And I know I'll be on. I think I'm going to hop on Comics Division a little later too. So yeah.
Don't forget to get some sleep.
Yeah, that'd be important.
Or coffee.
Or heroin.
Yeah.
What? No, script. Script.
I don't want him to get
no.
addicted, but at least keep him up for another.
Okay, I'm gonna try heroin to see if I get addicted. No,
Aren't you supposed to use cocaine for that?
no.
Yeah, either or. I mean, they're both uppers.
We can't condone that, but if you do, use Surfshark. I don't know. That doesn't match. But hey, Nikki D says, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Eternals has always come across as an Oscar bait film to me. I think it'll fall off a cliff its second weekend. There's a lot of Marvel normies. Yeah, I think you're about on point with that. I think that's about, I don't know about the Oscar
I can't stand Marvel normies.
No, the core base will turn up. That's for sure.
Yeah, because they're saying like the ticket sales are better than Shang-Chi. And yeah, it's got some star power to it. It's going to have a fine opening weekend. It'll probably do better than Shang-Chi, but it's got a lot of competition coming up afterwards. So it's just not going to, I just don't think it's going to perform. I think you're right. It's going to fall off that second weekend cliff.
Is there a golden open campaign for this one?
I don't know.
No way.
They could have a dozen of them. They've got the fucking Planeteers as the cast. So
no way. There's too many. There's no way there could be a campaign because there's too many different, shall we say, chief diversity officer check boxes there.
There's 4 things going for this movie. Okay, it's
what?
Salma Hayek and Angelina Jolie. That's it.
How do you get 4? That's 2.
Script got it.
Oh,
well, Angelina had to get hers replaced, and I'm glad that she's healthy and fine as a result. Because that was
you got hold on 1, 7, 2 plus 1. 1 plus 1's 2. I don't get it.
Just use negative numbers and then just like make them absolute, and then you'll be fine.
Do you know? Okay, so each of the 2 women have a pair of puppies.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. So
and
okay,
I'm pretty sure they both got upgrades.
Yeah, that's 4. Good job, Tom. Good.
Oh shit! No, I think you're right on that, and thank you for that, Nikki D. We appreciate that. So yeah, I don't think I missed any more super chats. If I did, somebody let me know, but I'm pretty sure we caught up with all of them. And Girthy says Ghostbusters is going to be the first movie you've seen in theaters since The Rise of Skywalker. I know I've got to go. Everybody's got to go. It's in theaters. So what do we?
I hope it's awesome.
I'm so annoyed.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
There's no theaters actually releasing.
What was that?
What's the actual release date?
November. What was it? November.
It
was 17th or 24th. I can't remember which.
I thought it was the 19th.
You might be
so solid Thanksgiving.
I thought it was moved a week back because it's the week after Remembrance Day, or at least
yeah, it's the week of Thanksgiving though. It comes out before Thanksgiving.
So that'd be the 18th, wouldn't it? Because that's the 3rd Thursday of the month.
True. Let's see here. I can't remember because they've changed it so many fucking times. And script is right. It is November 19th.
There we go.
So there you go. So we should be able to catch it on the 18th in previous showings. Yes. Otherwise, the only other thing to really talk about was that Ruby Rose thing, but a lot of it's kind of
it's fresh information. I would say it this way: assume both parties are lying, but also telling a little bit of truth.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's like, yeah, I'm sure that it was a massively fucking horrible experience to work for them, and they obviously do not have good safety protocols. But at the same time, Ruby Rose seems like a fucking diva. And I wouldn't want to work with her either. So,
yeah, I definitely wouldn't want to marry her or date her. So that tells you something. I don't know what it tells you.
She don't want to marry or date you, Mike. That's the beauty of it.
What?
Yeah, she only goes for the fishies. What were you going to say, Script?
No, well, she's technically bi, but yeah, I've heard of a number of accidents in productions in Canada.
You know
I've never heard of anyone, especially a stunt fireman, like a guy who sets himself on fire, ever having their face melted off, because they themselves take their own precautions in those situations as well. They don't just rely on the normal safety team.
Yeah, a lot of it just to me it feels like two bad parties, basically. Yeah. Like neither one of them are deserving of either, and there's no reason that fucking show should still be on the air anyway.
There is no reason. I also don't believe that she got injured on the set. I think she got injured on the other set, and the reason she didn't make the claim there is because she really likes those people because they keep hiring her, and she didn't want them to lose money, so she pivoted it to Batwoman. That's my theory.
No, and I feel a lot of the way about her as I do Edward Sparkle Pants. You had a fucking shot and you fucking blew it because it was too itchy in the suit. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that Edward has blown his chance yet, but that's what he's facing, is if he doesn't take it seriously enough, and if this doesn't work out for him. She had the opportunity. She had been in like 2 major films in smaller roles. You got the starring role on a network TV show, and all you did was complain from day one. Now, granted, there was probably issues that I can understand why you would, but you take those complaints to the proper authorities and whatever. Yeah, I agree with you, Script. She does not seem like the person who's above doing what she's done, and the chances are she was probably nowhere near half the shit a lot of the other people had to deal with, right? Like, a lot of the time, I'm sure she was pampered pretty fucking well, considering. I don't know.
On a CW show, maybe. It depends on the crew
She
you
was
have.
the star, though.
But she also did, like, I read her post where she's like, the showrunner only showed up 4 times. The showrunner only shows up when they're the ones that have written the final draft of the script. Like, whoever submits the script and has the credit for it, they show up to the set for this production. So the showrunner's not there all the time. So, like, that's not. I mean, I hate the fact that I'm defending that showrunner because she's a terrible writer, but she's not skirting her responsibilities if she's only showing up 4 times for that first season, because I only think she had a handful of scripts that she herself wrote solely for that show. Everything else was written by other teams and partnerships, and they were on the set there. The showrunner doesn't have to be on all the time. They do have to be accessible, though, in case there's issues, but they don't have to be there every day. And
no, I mean, Mecha J, I feel the same way. I have no sympathy for all parties involved except for those who were injured unnecessarily.
Yeah. I feel sad for that team, because clearly there were people that were not doing the job that they were hired to do.
And I'm with you here.
People got hurt.
Yep. And Pat-Man looks more like Dick Grayson's Nightwing. I agree. I mean, he can surprise me. There was aspects of that new trailer I liked, and there was aspects of that new trailer that made me go, ooh. So we'll see. Like, everything that's like face up in the dramatic side of things feels CW level, but the action sequences look like $100 million action sequences. That I'll give them. But like all the acting portions, the bits in the trailer, they just nope, it's not selling me. So we'll see how that goes. I know I'm going to be a tough critic for this one. So
I'm a huge Batman fan. I mean, it's my core comic. It's the core of the one that I've read, collected. I own the entire animated series, every movie for God knows how many decades. Yeah,
not only that,
Judge,
Batman,
Jury, and Executioner will be on the way.
Unless they're going to do a Batman series in the vein of Batman the Animated Series, just live action. Honestly, I'm to the point where they need to let Batman rest for a while.
Yeah, I agree with that. I want to, like, listen, I pitched a series that could lead into a Batman that HBO would absolutely love, but again, the current powers that be don't want to do that. Which in my opinion is silly, but like, you could restart a good DC universe in the same way that Marvel started with Iron Man, with the lower tier superheroes that don't cost a lot of money but can bring in an audience and build up something that's much bigger by the end. And yeah, Warner Brothers made the dumbest mistake by going in the opposite direction and also getting a team behind them that did not really have an understanding of what separates DC from Marvel and makes DC more unique. And it's not being dark or edgy. It's actually the embodiment of hope and light and not so much humor, but just colors are really important there. I mean, Superman should be a vibrant, colorful film. Batman should also be vibrant and colorful, but not in the same palette of Superman. I mean, I'm a big fan of like the old, Len Wein days of the comics with, Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil and those types. I want to see a gray Batman suit with like a navy blue cowl and a Gotham that's got like vibrant settings and interesting architecture. And you see all like colorful villains and things of that nature. I want to see a penguin that squawks but doesn't look like a weird fish mutant, for crying out loud, or Richard Kind. I want to see, a proper Scarecrow.
I don't know who anybody who says that makeup looks good. I'd like to know what they're on, because I could see the creases in the makeup and it was wrinkling and shit. And I'm like, that is some of the worst appliance makeup I've seen in a while.
There was a politician in the UK like 15 years ago that got poisoned and his face got like all like wrinkly and swollen and stuff. And that's what I see applied to Colin Farrell.
I remember what you're talking about.
Alpha particles in his food.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's bad news.
Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, if you eat rabbit chicken tacos, that will not happen to you, to your face. No,
allegedly,
because the poison kills the radiation.
That's right. Snowdub, how you doing, buddy? Says bring back Ash vs. Evil Dead. That show was amazing. I agree.
That was
and
an amazing show.
It was so cut off
Universal
because they
killed
obviously set up for like 2 or 3 more seasons with the last.
Well, it was
one.
put on
What the
E, and he
hell?
didn't do. Oh, no, sorry, it was put on Star, and Star didn't have a great
Star
means
sucked.
to
And I
advertise.
liked everybody on that show.
No, and that goes to show you because like I had Stars through Amazon just so I could watch that. I watched like very little else because most of the movies they had I already had. So like, what the fuck would I watch them on streaming, right? So like that was like the main reason.
So you
I
don't
had
have
it.
to get up.
Well, no, but like I know the quality wise, 9 times out of 10, more like 9.9999.
So you'll get off the couch and go find the actual movie on the shelf for the quality. I respect that.
Force of Light Entertainment, thank you for being here as well.
Oh, hey, ladies.
So many familiar faces in the chat tonight. I love it. I was expecting like nobody to be here. This is actually kind of makes me very like flattered because I thought everybody would be off watching fucking Dune. I was gonna be like, nobody's gonna be here tonight.
Does it make you optimistic and youthful? Does it make you feel sexy?
It makes me feel
Tom's too sexy
it
for
makes
the
me
stream.
feel
Tom's too
pretty.
sexy.
like a
Oh, so
natural
pretty.
woman.
Tom, we won't hate you because you're beautiful. How did you say that the other day on your? How did you say? Don't hate me because. How did you say that?
Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, so what was this going on? Somebody told me what was the show that somebody got killed on, or the movie? A woman died on the set of Rust. Okay. There was a prop gun accident. Oh my gosh.
What was Rust?
Ooh, that's
I'm
severe.
not familiar with the show or the movie.
I'm not familiar with it either, but I do know that when it comes to arms on set, there are a lot of checks and balances in
that's
place.
gonna be the first time they've had an accident since The Crow like that.
The Crow is the biggest one, yeah.
Yeah, that was a big deal.
Six says she sent us the link.
After that.
All right, thanks, Six. Let's see here. You did where? Unless Facebook is not probably fucking updating, I didn't get it.
Here, I'll grab it off IMDb Pro. Hold on.
Yeah.
Stand by. Producer action ring activated. What was the name of the movie?
Rust.
Oh, here it comes. There we go. We got it. I got it. Okay. Thank you, Six. It might have just been Facebook needing to update. It does its thing.
Facebook updates? What?
Like, here's the thing. Somebody found this out, and this is true. Facebook will stagger shit sometimes. And it does it on purpose so you check your shit more often.
Oh, I haven't been on Facebook in 6 years.
Yeah. So one killed and one hospitalized after prop gun misfire on Santa Fe set of Alec Baldwin film Rust. Wow.
Why was a prop gun loaded with anything other than
Well,
like a blank or flare shot?
One.
You know what? This is a local news thing, so let's just watch it.
We begin with breaking news. There has been a deadly accident on a movie set in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I'm Colleen Sullivan in for Giovanna Lara.
I'm Mark Brown. A crew member on the Netflix Western film Rust has died after a prop gun with blanks misfired.
Oh, man.
42-year-old woman was rushed by helicopter to a local trauma center where she died of her wounds. Another crew member was also injured in the accident. The movie, starring Alec Baldwin and Frances Fisher, had just begun filming at the Bonanza Creek Ranch. Baldwin actually shared a photo from the set of Rust earlier today while in costume. Production has been stopped for the time being. We will continue to follow this story and bring you updates when they become available.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so for what it's worth, I'm an active. I'm a pistol enthusiast, and if that happened with blank cartridges, that's a lack of care of detail to the firearm, meaning that it wasn't either cleaned or wasn't lubricated, because blanks don't have
or something got lodged.
There's
Yeah,
nothing
what
in a
happens-
blank that projects out.
Yeah.
Well,
properly.
what happens is that
Well,
what
we need to
happens.
explain that, yeah, because there's two different kinds of blanks they use, right?
Yeah, or she
Exactly,
would have to
exactly,
be
Tom,
incredibly
exactly.
close.
Even though it doesn't have an actual bullet projectile, it still has powder in to create the effect, and so it can still launch. And if it misfired, then that means it just shot right back at her, probably through her skull or her neck.
Wait, you're
Well-
talking like it misfired in the sense that it didn't go, it left the gun from.
Well,
The
there's
opposite
two ways.
direction?
It can either, because it's a blank. I mean, you're dealing with a cartridge, right?
I
So
think it
it's-
was just a
Yeah, you're dealing with a
stray-
cartridge. There's there's several different types of blanks. There's a paint bullet blank, which is it's got a little bit of powder to it, and it's basically like a paintball ammo. Then there's the one that's got like essentially flash paper, where smoke just as flash and smoke comes out of the barrel, And then there's a third one, which it is an empty cartridge, but nothing actually it just basically does the same effect as like the flash paper, but nothing actually leaves the chamber. It's stuck in the chamber, and as like you're using like a 6-shooter, it just keeps on spinning around. They only use those for the 6-shooters. They don't use them for any of the automatics.
Yeah, well, the two main that I'm talking about there's the dummy, and then there's the ones that are just mainly like for like long shots where you just, like you said, you get the smoke and a little bit of flash, but it's not like a massive one. But then for the close-ups, they have the one that's a bit bigger of a flash, but also that's the one that has the more gunpowder in it, and that's what happened on the set of The Crow, was that they had used the one blanks in the other shot, but something had gotten dislodged in the fucking chamber.
Yeah, the dummy bullet.
And then when they switched it over, that blew out what was in the chamber into, sadly, Brandon Lee, which killed him. So we don't know if this is a situation where the individual was firing the gun herself and it misfired, or if something was just like a stray piece of something from a gun, is what I'm assuming. But we don't have any more details than that right now, and we probably
the standard thing is like you don't use the same gun in the following shot. You have the same model, but it's switched out every time.
Yeah,
so that it can be
for
cleaned
the
and
love of
maintained.
God, you're always supposed to check the fucking barrel. You're supposed to check everything. You're just
I've seen them. They take it all apart.
Guns.
No, when I've been on set for stuff, they and there's guns. As soon as they do their take, the gun goes off to the gun handler, who's usually a munitions expert, and he or she takes apart the gun, cleans it, puts it back together, and then redoes it. While another gun is being brought up to the other actor for the other take. They rarely do they ever use the same gun all the time. They just have multiples of it, and so they can clean and maintain and keep things, above board. So I'm wondering what the heck happened here.
Double check when they bring back the second gun.
Well, that's the thing, and also the one that's for the
well, it's being recleaned and changed in between every take, so it's always going through routine, and there's always a checklist that they have to go off, and there's usually someone watching them as well to make sure that everything's being done properly.
And then also, like the ones that's usually used for the close-ups, the reasons that one's a little bit more dangerous is you generally don't have somebody on the other end of it, right? Like it just so happened to be in that scene of The Crow that it was such a close-up shot they wanted the other cartridge, but they didn't switch out the gun, and that may even be why that rule's in place now, for all I know. You'd probably
possibly. I do know that there's there's one where they don't even have blanks or anything inside. They just have a radio trigger with the pistol, and it triggers the squibs in the person's body, and then they just use digital effects for the flash and smoke in the pistol.
Well,
and that's for an in-camera shot where basically they want to show the guy is the actor squeezing the trigger and the guy is reacting to the squibs, and they want like a wide 2-shot or a weird angle or like maybe a Dutch angle or something, and the one actor is dictating the reaction of the other actor because they're the ones that are triggering the squibs. And those things are really expensive. Not a whole lot of them. A lot of productions do that because it's so
but they're
pricey.
Cool looking.
Oh no, it is incredibly cool. Yeah.
And Adam Wolford, you're right, but unfortunately, that's part of the process. Is it's the ones that let off the more of the flash with more of the gunpowder. It actually does shoot a bit of sparks out the front end of the barrel, and it's to give the illusion that it is shooting. And
but on top of that too, the guns are also repurposed so that they couldn't fire normal ammunition anyways.
Right. So they do try to take as many precautions, but they're still dangerous weapons regardless. Yeah. So you still have to treat them as such. But Adam Mulford says here, thank you so much for the $10, says prop guns should have a piece of metal inside either barrel to stop anything from getting out. These prop guns are of the old revolver type. They don't have that safety device. It's open barrel. Yeah. And normally they are in general just because of that. And it all probably depends. Like now I think, as we were talking here, because, scripts work in like the prop department before, but I think the guns department would be a totally different thing, wouldn't it? Unless you're working on like alien guns and shit like that. I'd imagine.
No, I worked on like laser weapons and things of that nature, which means nothing. But like I've been around when guys do actual guns, and most of the time, like they'll get in a nice Smith & Wesson. They'll take it apart, remove everything that would allow it to shoot a normal round, and then they put in a couple of things so that it can shoot blanks or be equipped for squibs, whatever else they want to, or like paintball gun ammunition. And they go from there. But there's usually all these checks and procedures because, again, when you're dealing with any weapon, whether it's a sword, a knife, a pistol, a fake bazooka, if you will, like there's massive amount of checks that are supposed to be done on that set. And yeah, like I'm always, whenever I hear this type of incident, I'm always really surprised because this would be the first gun related one I've heard
since then, I think.
Since the old stories of Brandon Lee, because I've heard of issues where like a rocket launcher, some of the flash heat was really hot and it like burned a person's fingers, but didn't actually kill anybody.
I'm trying to remember what movie it was on, but I swear somebody did have like a misfire a while back, but all they did was burn their hand or something like that. It was just a
Werewolf is correct. They do have those, actually.
Yeah.
Just some directors just don't like to use them.
Yeah, and then the other problem you have is this. Go watch any like video where you can tell they've clearly used, non.
Go watch a CW show where all they do is CG bullets and
you can tell there's no kick to them, and that's the other part with the other gauge or whatever you call it of the blank is it has a bit more kick to it too, so you have that kick in the hand, right? Like it takes a lot more to make it look realistic than just, and it's sad. It sucks because I get it. Because I'm one of those people that's always about safety first. But no, they should just need to it's somebody's fault, more or less, probably. Some kind of negligence. Let's see here.
Yeah, I'm just surprised to hear that happened. If there's one thing I know about prop guys when they deal with munitions, they're very, very particular about what to use, how to use it, and that nothing goes wrong. So this is, I wonder what this investigation will turn up.
And Brett Sanders, you could be right. With 2 people getting hurt, it may have been a gun explosion. Maybe a projectile came out of that. Like there was a backfire of some type, and the whole thing blew up in an actor's hands, perhaps. Because we don't know any details. That's a sad thing. We're speculating a lot right now, and I don't like to do that. So, 6. I meant when it comes to movies, Brat.
And on that note,
and that's what I was saying, Stephanie, is with the blanks. That's why they like it, is because you have the recoil, you have, it still looks more realistic in certain aspects, and it's things you can't necessarily fake real easy. So you have that problem too. But yeah, no, that's sad, and I hate to hear these kind of accidents happen, especially when they're completely unnecessary. But this one sounds more like a fluke accident. Hopefully it's not down to somebody's negligence, but that possibly what it sounds like. Maybe it's a situation where the gun just happened to have some, fluke misfire, and this could have been a fluke accident. So I don't want to go.
Maybe when it wasn't a guns issue, maybe it was a blank issue. Or
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't want to get too judgy yet, but that's kind of a scary thing to fucking happen on your first fucking day on a set.
Yeah.
Damn. I wonder if this will get this movie completely shut down, because that's what happened to that.
I would say yes if it's on the first day.
Well, and not only that, like the Neil Young movie they were going to make a while back, I think it was. That one lady got killed when they were doing that stupid fucking dream sequence on a train track with a real fucking train.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
And that shut that whole movie down.
But from a finance perspective, you got the insurance company scrambling right now with that,
And I don't know. That's the one thing I heard with that one is that they couldn't continue with the movie. Otherwise, the insurance company wouldn't do what they're supposed to. Like there's that aspect of it too. So I have no idea. But yeah, that was or Midnight Rider. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. Yeah, that movie got shut down. Thank you, Adeptus Astartes, if I'm saying that right. Adeptus Astartes. Adeptus Astartes. Yes. Thank you. Got it. Yeah, and then also a woman did die on the set of Transformers 2. I can't remember what the circumstances were there, though. I do remember that. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, Scott.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I just don't remember how that could have happened because that was mostly a CG film.
Yeah, we're gonna wrap things up here, but yeah, a real fucking train, Tim. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking.
Yeah, I never understood.
And it was stupid because all it was the actor who was playing the because it was Neil Young, right? No, wait, who sang Midnight Rider? That was
that was the Allman Brothers.
Allman Brothers Band. Yeah, so it was not Neil Young. It was Greg Allman. Greg Allman. That's who it was about. Sorry about that. Greg Allman, they were doing a movie about that, and he had a dream sequence where he's on a bed on a fucking train track, and the bed was cradled over the train track. So the actor got off, and the train was coming, and the prop lady, I believe it was, who was meant to grab the bed, thought she had enough time to do it, and she didn't have help, and she ended up getting killed.
Wow.
Yeah, and when
it the
dealing with
DUNE?
a train, especially in that situation, the standard procedure that I've been told is that the train starts in a stopped position at the point where the person is, and then they drive the train back, and they use a composite to do that in reverse, and then they remove the person, and then they reshoot the train coming at speed, and then they just do a composite to mix those all together so that there's no one
Was it the
actually
Doobie
getting
Brothers or was it the Allman Brothers? I can't even remember any fucking more. Maybe it was the Doobie
The Allman Brothers.
Is it the Allman Brothers?
Yeah, the Doobie Brothers is completely different.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm like, you're confusing me now, and I need to eat dinner. So, so yeah, that's just sad when that shit happens, man. Oh, was it the second assistant camera woman? Okay, is that one for Transformers, or is that the other one? Can't remember which. Sarah Jones. She was okay. Thank you so much. All right, there you go. Oh, and then of course there's the original tragedy that most of us remember.
Oh yeah, the helicopter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that video is very easy to find, kids, believe it or not.
I've refused to see it.
Yeah. Well, I've seen it more times than I want to because it comes up and shit. They just show it. Yeah, and the crew didn't even have permission to be on the train tracks. That was the other thing. Yep. Yep. For Midnight Rider. Okay, so she was a second assistant camera woman. Okay.
All right. Yeah, that's bringing back more memory now.
Yeah, it's a couple of years ago now. That was like almost 5 years.
That was like 6 or 7 years ago, almost. I think.
Yeah.
Or at least within the last 6-7 years.
Yeah. Didn't the guy who played Burke die on the set of The Exorcist? No, he died. He did die during the making of the film, though. But it wasn't on the set. That was just one of those urban legend deals. All right, let's get rolling here, kids. Mike, you got anything you want to promote? You got coming up? You're going to be on or anything like that?
Nope. I'm going to Dallas. Well, tomorrow night I'm going to be on the Band of Brothers stream at 8:00 tomorrow night, closing out a 10-episode retrospective. Other than that, I'll be here next week.
Yeah, and that is a bummer of a way, but here we go. We got somebody who came from an earlier Chopek. I can't say something QWERTY. I apologize. I don't know what that is supposed to be.
It's QWERTY.
Yeah, it's QWERTY. Coming from an early release market, I've seen Dune in IMAX Laser 3D, and it was the first time I felt a brightness was lacking. I'm going to see it in IMAX Laser 2D and hope it will be enough. Well, let us know how that experience is, because I'm curious. I thought it would be an excellent experience in 3D. If I do go, that's probably what I will do. And yeah, as Adaptus brings up, the director did go to jail for that, so justice was evidently served in that case. And so there's at least that to go on. Other than that, I hope everybody enjoys Dune tonight. For those who get a chance to see it or this weekend, let us know what you think in the comments. I'm curious what everybody felt about it. I'm curious how it's going to do this weekend. So other than that, Jesse, you got anything coming up?
No, I don't plan out my life.
I know you don't. What about you, Script? Anything coming up?
Don't know yet. Things are up in the air at the moment, but
Okay.
yeah, I'll definitely be able to return to some more MEAD streams, and I think this Sunday I'll be doing something with Nina Infinity on Midnight Mass, with that wonderful panel there with Jane Theory and them.
Yeah. All right. And with that, I'll probably be jumping on with Comics and them here in a little bit. So head on over to Comics Division channel if you want to hear us talk a little bit more about Dune. And I think we're going to talk about the how Halloween Kills is transphobic and anti-gay and Chucky is not. He's an ally.
It wasn't anti-gay because I was spoiler.
There was a whole bunch of shit. So I was trying to figure out if this. I still haven't figured out if this Geek Rant is like a real fucking website or not. But they took people's reactions to, the gay couple getting killed in Halloween Kills and how Chucky reacts to the kid in the new Chucky show, because they were making a big deal about him saying he has a gender fluid kid. It's like, well, if you've watched any of the Chucky movies in the last 10 years, you'd know that. Yeah, exactly. Like PewDiePie.
People still watch the Chucky movies?
Oh yeah, there's 7 of them.
There's part 3, and then there was the one with
Bride of Chucky, then
Jennifer
there's Seed of
Tilly.
Chucky, where he has his son and
that
daughter.
was it. No, just stop there.
Yeah.
Chucky's not that good.
I love Chucky.
Yeah, but come on.
And
Is
yeah,
4
this
movies
is
not
also
enough?
true. This happened as well, yes. And yeah, the whole joke is Michael's an equal opportunity serial killer, and people were making fun of the whole thing online. And this outlet, Screen Geek or something like that, took it as an actual, like, people were pissed. It's like, no, if you actually go read, they're being sarcastic, because the joke is this in the new episode. So like the kid is gay, right? Like, and so Chucky's like, yeah, I know you're gay, and he's like, and you don't have a problem with that? He's like, yeah, kid, I'm a murderer, not a monster. So like that's the joke.
That's a good joke.
Well,
I know, right? Like it's a whole,
because he is a monster too. But yeah,
that's the whole joke. So like when people are like, "Oh, but Chucky's gone gay," it's like, no, you're not even. You're the best part about this show so far is even though the main character is gay, it has only come up in certain aspects, and it is part of the story only when it needs to be. You know, like it's not like every 10 minutes they're, you know, I'm gay and so on and so forth. Like it is part of the story in certain aspects, but it's not in your face like this woke bullshit. It helps that Don Mancini has been a part of this franchise since the beginning, and he's been openly gay forever. So like, and we've already had this kind of stuff in the franchise. It's nothing new, right? Like, so he knows how to treat characters like characters, and it helps. Sure, there's some parts of it that in the first episode specifically that's kind of like, it didn't feel like it was a woke thing to me, but it felt more like this is coming from somebody who come out of the closet in the 90s, which probably Don did somewhere in that area. So like, because the way certain things are treated in that first episode were just kind of cringe in some aspects, but as it's going along, it's fine. I'm not having a problem in this case, you know. And Michael and Chucky are both the same. Yes, they're very equal opportunity murderers. Chucky, on the other hand, he's just a bit more choosy, right? He's like Hannibal Lecter in a weird way.
But he gets more of a thrill out of it. Michael Myers is more of a machine.
Yes, Michael's is a machine, and Chucky's is more of a thrill, and at the same time, if you piss him off, right? Like, there's people he won't kill. Like, if he likes you, he won't kill you. Kind of like Hannibal. If you give him a reason, he'll kill you, though. But Chucky, on the other hand, he'll be more likely to kill you than Hannibal would. So, like, you have that going for you. But, yeah. No, I think so far they're doing just fine. I think the show is doing well. Hopefully, about third or fourth episode, maybe we'll do some kind of roundtable. I know Snowdub had asked me about it, so we'll see.
Oh yeah, he's totally into puppets. So yeah,
exactly. So with that, I think we're going to wrap things up here because Mike and I need to get some supper in us, and I got another stream to be on here in a little bit. And I want to thank the guys for hanging in there with me and appreciate it. And now y'all can go watch Dune.
Woohoo!
Love you guys. Take care of yourselves and have a good night.
Bye.
Do you like rabbit? Do you like chicken? Have you ever wondered what it would be like to have both at the same time but can never find both at the same place? Well, Disney and Shang-Chi have taken care of that for you. That's right. You can get yourself rabbit chicken meat, now available at every Walmart and Costco.
What you waiting for? Move your feet and get some rabbit